From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is U.S. Farm Report.
Welcome to U.S. Farm Report. I'm Tyne Morgan, and here's what's in store over the next hour. It's a dairy on the mainland and across the Pacific.
We're about, I think, 1,500 head in Hawaii right now.
We'll introduce you to an Idaho dairy bringing a whole new meaning to efficiency. An untouched parcel of land tucked away just outside of New Orleans.
It'll never be developed. It's always going to be rural.
Andrew McCrae shows us how these acres spread ag education across miles and miles. And in John's world,
it's all about corn, unfortunately.
U.S. Farm Report, brought to you by the dependable, long-lasting Chevy Silverado.
Now for the market-related news, the first crop progress report of the year shows sorghum growers are right on pace with planting this year, while cotton farmers are already behind. USDA shows 13% of U.S. sorghum is already planted, right on track with average. South Dakota growers have 36% in the ground, but farmers in Louisiana are struggling to get the crop in from all the rain. Only 14% of sorghum is planted there, and that's 21 percentage points behind average. Arizona cotton farmers are actually ahead of normal with 25% of the crop in the ground. Texas farmers are behind. USDA also giving us a glimpse of winter wheat conditions, showing 59% of the country's crop is in good to excellent condition. Looking state by state and specifically where the freeze recently entered the crop, Kansas NASS office shows 8% is poor to very poor, while 55% is in good to excellent shape. And at this point, the crop looks a little better in Oklahoma, where 4% is poor to very poor, and more than 60% is rated good to excellent. And in Kentucky, the crop is about 2 weeks ahead of normal thanks to mild temperatures. But Farm Journal wheat expert Phil Needham says a widespread blast of cold air will threaten the area's crop this weekend.
So we're very advanced. And Saturday morning, it's depending on which forecast you look at, they're predicting 26 to 29 Fahrenheit temperatures for a low Saturday morning. This wheat jointed 10 days ago. There's some further ahead than this, flag leaf starting to emerge. And if it gets 26 to 29 degrees for more than a couple of hours, we're probably going to see significant freeze injury up and down this region.
Meanwhile, looking at the weekly export numbers, wheat saw a 15% jump from the previous week's export numbers, the biggest buyers being Indonesia and Nigeria. But sales are still trailing, with export commitments down 17% from year-ago levels. Soybean export not nearly as strong, with shipments down 19% from the previous week and trailing 54% behind the 4-week average. Soybean commitments for the year are down 8% from a year ago. Well, lower meat prices are hurting export values. The U.S. Meat Export Federation releasing its analysis of protein exports in February. Exports of U.S. pork and beef were about the same as last year volume-wise, but export value has moved lower as prices continue to decline. February pork exports are down 1% in volume, but 12% in value. And February beef shipments are up slightly, but value dropped 18%. The short-term dairy outlook remains pessimistic for dairy farmers this year, but thanks to possible demand growth, prices could slightly improve heading into 2017. Rabobank's quarterly report forecasting we could start to see production growth slow across the world. At the same time, they see demand slowly increasing, helping reduce some of the surpluses currently setting across the globe. Rabobank thinks dairy consumption will grow in Asia as well as the U.S. and EU. All right, those are the headlines. Meteorologist Mike Hoffman joins us now with weather. Mike, what's up with these freezing temperatures threatening some of the fruit crops and also wheat?
Yeah, no doubt, Tyne. It's been very cold for this time of the year, but all of that's going to change, as you'll see in my forecast coming up. Drought monitor, and that has been a concern. We've been talking about this for Oklahoma and Kansas. That's been an expanding area. Same thing in North Dakota, while this area has been shrinking. So let's go back 4 weeks and look at the change over the past month. You can see as we've moved through time, we've seen the area over the south central plains expanding, same thing over North Dakota, but slowly diminishing out west. Still, the extreme to exceptional drought for many parts of California. Let's go day by day. On Monday, storm system in the upper Great Lakes with some snow around it, but showers and thunderstorms from the central lakes all the way down into the southern Mississippi Valley. Decent amount of rain in some areas there. Rain showers all the way back through the Four Corner region, central and southern California. Some snow in the highest elevations Otherwise, another cold shot of air coming into the northern plains. This one is not going nearly as far south, though. The cold is going to stay farther north than we've seen. So by Wednesday, that storm system in the southwest moving through the southern Mississippi Valley with decent rains there. Milder temperatures coming into the plains with lots of sunshine. A weak system coming through the northern Rockies kind of falls apart by Friday. The one offshore then moves into the Rockies by Friday, and that's going to bring some very cold air back behind it with lots of snow in the mountainous regions, central and northern Rockies. But look at the warmth, mild temperatures all the way into the Great Lakes, temperatures into the 60s in those areas. Still some rain throughout the southeast. Back in our next half hour with a longer range outlook.
All right, thanks, Mike. When we come back, Sue Martin and Don Rose are in the studio to break down these markets. That happens after the break.
U.S. Farm Report, brought to you by Case IH. Be ready next harvest season with an axial flow combine from Case IH.
Thanks for coming today.
How you doing?
Well, today's going to be pretty easy. I want each of you to grab a 2x8 and cut it. You'll have 2 saws to choose from, a power saw or a hand saw. So which saw did you use?
Power saw. Power saw.
Power saw. You all chose the most powerful tool. Wouldn't it make sense to make the same choice when it comes to your truck?
Absolutely.
This is the 2016 Chevy Silverado. It offers the most powerful engine in its class.
Awesome.
I'd say it's the best tool for the job.
Right on.
Can't get weeds off your mind? You need the powerful weed control of Liberty herbicide on Liberty Link crops. Together, Liberty Link and Liberty provide outstanding yields. Liberty herbicide, now at a new lower price. See your local retailer for details.
Let's face it, you don't think a lot about your trailer hitch. You use it and forget it. We understand, but at B&W, we think about it. Short nights, long hauls, never-ending chores. The unthinkable. We think about it all, so you don't have to. B&W. Trusted.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay. Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deals.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Call 800-747-2351, 800-747-2351.
Welcome back to U.S. Farm Report this weekend. Sue Martin of Ag and Investment Services and Don Rose of U.S. Commodities. Let's start out the white elephant in the room, corn acres. Do you really think we're going to see 93 million acres of corn like USDA is projecting, Sue?
Well, that kind of surprised me. I think they did everybody because, you know, this report was just after an offshoot of the Ag Forum Outlook where they were talking, 91. And so I think that I had looked at 92 million acres. So when they came at 93.6, I thought, oh my goodness, and some of those acres where it's coming from are areas that I really am questioning a little bit. So it wouldn't shock me if we step back a little bit in acres. The surprise would be on the June final that it didn't happen, that we didn't step back. That would be the shock. And I think the trade, as we go forward, they're going to continue to monitor the spring weather and how well the planting pace is going.
No matter what, this acreage did send corn prices lower. Do you think it sent the right message to farmers? Do we not need to plant this many acres this year?
Well, Tyne, I think that's what the market was all about. We pressed the market to the downside heavily after the report. Realistically, we're trying to send a signal, plant less corn acres, plant more soybean acres. And then I think the trade even doubted the report. When you look at it down in the Delta Southeast, it's been wet. Probably lost 500,000 to 1 million acres there. Could lose 1 million acres to 500,000 acres of switching from corn to beans in the Midwest. So we're sending the right signal. Soybeans go out the end of the week, firm again, and corn just kind of sputter. So I think that's the direction we're pointed right now.
Next report already this coming week, supply and demand. Is this typically much of a market mover, or are we looking past this and onto the May report already?
I think we'll look past it.
Okay.
I think the one thing that everybody will focus on is maybe the global supplies to see where the carryouts are. But you know, in the last few years, our movers have been coming out of the May report. In 2014, when we had 520 on corn, that's where we fell from on May 9th, was on that May report. So when we got revisions on the global scale and kind of shocked everybody, you know, adding in 10, 12 million metric tons of this or that. So I think that's where the focus will be, is just kind of looking at that, and then they'll get past it. I think weather's taking on more precedence.
Don, do you think the most bearish news that we'll receive all year came out of that March 31st report?
Well, I think it's the most bearish news that we're going to have right now. In the May report, remember, we're going to use the acres, and then we'll put probably a trend line yield on it. So you're going to have a big carry out. But realistically, as we go forward with China changing some of their policies, with the world competition, with feed grains competitive right now, I think you really have to say that what you're afraid of is the carry out in May is like a 2.1, 2.2 billion, but that one goes to 2.5 or 2.6 billion if we get a big yield and we get the acres that we think, even if they're down 1.5 million to 2 million on the corn acres, still gives you a chance to get a 2.5 billion carry out.
But we just have this oversupply that's weighing on our market right now. And the stocks report shows that we have a lot of farmers still holding on to a lot of that grain. So Sue, what's your advice for farmers right now, considering if we do get a rally, a lot of people sell, we see basis possibly crash in some areas. At this point, should farmers be selling or holding?
Well, we're telling everyone that we believe the last half of this year is better than the first half. What we're saying to them is, if you see a spot where you can get a decent basis, get it moved, but also retain ownership. Options are cheap, and they're offering you the opportunity to re-own back on the board. There's many different option strategies that are available right now with less money going in, very inexpensive, but it allows you to retain the ownership. I think that if you do that, you want to retain ownership in September to December timeframe, because I think that this market this year is going to have a weather issue, and I think that's going to feed it. If you take, let's say, 92 million acres, and you drop it down, the yield down to 162 bushel per acre, you could be talking a 1.7 billion bushel carryout. And I think it's all about psychology and changing. Yes, we're going to see more corn acres in Argentina and Brazil. You're going to see less corn acres in China because they're going to plant more potatoes, for example, and rapeseed, that type of thing. So I think when I look at the market here, I really recommend, and we're 3 years into this bear market.
Yeah. Do you agree? Second half of the year, better prices?
Well, we're really not in that camp unless you have some weather problems. And we could have some weather problems. It's a strange year, but I think what the producer has to do is market as if he's going to get a big crop. Prepare for the worst and hope for the best is what I would say. So, no, we think that if we get a big crop with the acres that we have, with the El Nino the way it is, we think that Dees corn has some downside targets close to $3 and the November beans close to $8.
Not what we wanted to hear this weekend. All right, well, much more to talk about, including export numbers, change in China's policy. We'll do that when we come back.
Take a look inside any rotary combine, and you'll find single rotor technology. Technology Case IH introduced over 35 years ago with the Axial Flow combine. But unless it gives you more bells and whistles with fewer belts and chains, more power using less fuel, it's not an Axial Flow. Because while the heart of every rotary combine beats red, only Case IH gives you the power to do more.
Tommy, I'm a little disappointed. The yields weren't there and the prices are low. We need to sell at a good price. What do you advise?
Hi, it's Tommy Grisafi, and I would like to visit you at your farm to discuss strategies and risk management solutions that best fit your farm's interest. Call me at 855-737-FARM, and I will personally visit you at your farm. Experience solid market advice right on the farm.
Grower Matt Bjerke of Lake Park, Minnesota was in need of a post-emergence herbicide that protected corn yields and offered season-long weed control properties. Working with Bayer Crop Science, he discusses how he found success in his fields.
The biggest benefits I see on my operation, the corn, we try to just use a one-pass system, so we're letting the corn come up, but we can spray it, when it's fairly small and not get any crop injury. Then we get that burn down with the Caprino on both the broadleafs and the grasses, and you're getting the residual out of it for, to canopy. So.
With the longest lasting residual on the market today, growers can take confidence keeping clean fields all season long.
Using Caprino is a no-brainer for me.
Welcome back. Well, our export numbers were kind of discouraging this week. Don, should they discourage us at this point, or what's the bigger picture telling us with our export market?
Well, our exports on corn actually are starting to pick up a little bit. It's possible that we reach the government goals, where before we thought we were maybe 50 million too high. Probably are still too high, but we'll see. But our export pace has been strong. We're competitive in the world market right now, but that changes greatly when we hit May, when Argentina's harvest, and then we're going to have, remember, the winter crop of Brazil is going to harvest in July, so competition is ahead. Very much the same on soybeans, and so you have to be careful that when the export market starts to stall, so does the market.
Yeah, so how is South American production continuing to impact our markets right now, Sue?
Well, they're very competitive, and of course, should they have decent weather this next year, their bean crop could look very much like, well, we had, what was it, this last couple of years, 107 million metric ton production, and they'll be up around 101 to 103, depending on where they come in at. So they're gaining on us, no doubt about it. And of course, their currency is a concern, because for us, our dollar's been strong. We think the dollar's congesting here and maybe sets back a little bit. Their currency, because of the dollar doing what it's doing, their price of beans have been high. That's kind of stimulating the production. But the one thing that I think people do miss this year is that the foreign production deficits, taking the U.S. out of the picture so we can see how much the rest of the world really needs us, but keeping Brazil, Argentina in it, the second largest on record foreign production deficit need on soybeans. Does it mean prices have to go higher? No, but what it says is there's going to be support under this market, and if we have a weather scare, you're going to see a lift in the market. Corn has been gaining for, this is I think the third year of need, and that's with the record production you're seeing South America.
Don, speaking of South America, we're seeing a recession in Brazil. Does that change the game in any way down there?
Well, what's really happened with the whole South America is they're using their grain as a currency. So realistically, what they're doing is they're expanding the acres, and that's not the signal that we need. Realistically, next year you're going to see Argentina's production go up, Brazil's production go up, probably on corn and soybeans, just simply because they can. Their yields are also increasing. So, I think when you're in a recession and you're using your grain as a currency, it's something that you have to be concerned with.
Speaking of using your grains, China's changing their policy. How is that going to impact us, Sue?
Well, they're going to step back their corn production. And that means that until they get the glut worked off that they have, because they're changing their policies of reserves to, tightening that reserve down a little bit, ratcheting it down. Basically, once they get through that, they also have a need to expand in ethanol to get cleaner air. And so that's another shift that we're seeing. So for the moment, maybe feed grains has a little bit of an issue, but on the same token, I think that over the longer haul, with them stepping back in corn production and going into a different direction, they might up bean acres a little bit, rapeseed, another oil seed, and then potatoes. So I think at some point here, we're going to see them still come back to the market and import corn.
I'm also hearing rumors that Smithfield may take more pork, U.S. specifically. What's the demand picture look like on the pork side of the ledger?
Well, that's the good news, because Smithfield has been pretty aggressive. Our exports in the latest months, China did export 9% of our total, or they took 9% of our total exports. So our meat demand is picking up on the export front, but it's really about our domestic demand that is really the driver for the market. The export market equates to 18 to 20% of the total demand. So it's a good sign, but we've got a big production ahead of us too.
Do you think we've hit the high on this hog market?
We do. We think that we're in a multi-year high on the cattle market, so that's affecting the overall meats demand. So we do our supply, and we do think that the hog market's put in some tops. We're really concerned with the fourth quarter on the hogs. That's when the numbers get to be quite large.
All right. Thanks so much. Stay with us. Get their closing thoughts when we come back.
This is Machinery Pete, inviting you to check out my new website, MachineryPete.com. Offering farmers tens of thousands of used equipment listings to search, let Machinery Pete help you find and value your next piece of used equipment.
The IRS garnished my paycheck.
We owed the IRS $30,000.
The IRS showed up at my work.
The IRS will stop at nothing to collect the money you owe. They will levy your paycheck, seize your assets, and can even put you in jail.
We were afraid and didn't know what to do, so we called Tax Help Today, and they got us help. Now we don't have any payments to the IRS.
I called Tax Help Today for their free consultation. They were able to lower my debt with the IRS.
Tax Help Today will help you get your life back on track. Our tax professionals will fight for the best deal possible. Don't take the IRS on alone.
My wage garnishment was lifted, and now I can pay my rent.
When you call, you'll receive a free and private consultation with a tax professional. You have rights. Let the tax professionals with Tax Help Today get you the peace of mind you deserve. Call Tax Help Today at 800-908-4074 for a free consultation. 800-908-4074. That number is 800-908-4074 for Tax Help.
Rover loves playtime, but he ends up a filthy mess. You need Wolf Washer 360, the amazing new dog washing system everyone's talking about. Connect Wolf Washer 360 to your hose. Add soap, then adjust to wash the dirt away. The secret is the adjustable arc of water jets, engineered to spray all over. Wolf Washer 360 adjusts to any size dog. Large or small, it Wolf washes them all. Big enough to wash this miniature horse. He loves it. Wolf Washer 360 has two modes, one for rinse and one for suds. Now, Wolf Washer 360 is just $19.99. Order now and you can double the offer. You'll also get the pocket hose Dura-Rib. Just pay a separate fee. Wolf Washer 360 comes with an unbelievable 5-year guarantee. So call now.
Call 1-800-575-1613 to get your Wolf Washer 360. Call now or go to wolfwasher.com. So call 1-800-575-1613. That's 1-800-575-1613. Call now.
Welcome back. Time for Markets Now. Sue Martin, let's start with you.
Well, I think the one thing that we're looking at and have been recommending to our clients is really we believe that we do have potential for something better on corn prices this year. Now, in a year similar to this, you will see more times than not the market step back for a traditional fall break. But we think our summer rally lasts a little bit longer. We're recommending producers retain ownership, sell your grain, but own back cheap options.
Okay, Don?
Well, I think this is a year where it looks like we're going to have a stock building year again, unless we have some weather issues. So I think you're down to probably weather issues on the grain market and also a currency issue. Those are the supportive factors. But realistically, probably both of those are low bets. So make sure you do some risk management as we still have premium in the market at the present time on both corn and soybeans. Probably 60 cents on corn and probably $1 on soybeans.
Okay, thank you guys both so much. Stay with us. John Phipps joins us when we come back.
We earn our living from the earth. We trust in our equipment to help us work harder, farm smarter, and add to our bottom line. From prepping, planting, and harvesting, to hauling, leveling, and more. Kubota's ag lineup was built for field and farm. We are Kubota. This is what we do.
Every successful grower knows that the best crops need strong roots, and that means they need Radiate Plant Growth Regulator. Radiate features 2 powerful active ingredients that help young crops quickly develop the longer, healthier roots they need for more nutrient uptake, early vigor, and stress resistance. Applied either foliar or in furrow, Radiate makes all the difference for a wide variety of crops. So get the roots your crops need by getting Radiate first. See your CPS dealer today.
Parasites will lose you more money than any other disease out there besides infertility. So, parasites is something that we have to control, and that's what VetGun does for us. It's tough out there on a ranch, but with the ease of the VetGun, it's a one-man operation, and whenever you can get one thing to work out great throughout that day, it just makes my life a little easier.
Attention to everyone eligible for Medicare. The Affordable Care Act has added helpful new benefits to your Medicare coverage. You may not realize that there are a host of benefits you may be eligible for, including many useful preventative services that can make a difference in your health. Many benefits come with zero copays and zero deductibles. Don't miss out on the coverage you deserve. Call for free now or go to Medicare.com. There is no obligation.
Please call 800-920-6690.
Well, as we just talked about in our marketing discussion, the major item weighing on commodity prices right now, oversupply. John Phipps discusses the bigger issue causing the supply problem in this week's John's World.
Everybody talks about how neat my shop is. Here it is in real life. Okay, while the shock and implications of prospective planning's report last week is still reverberating, many producers are constructing pretty elaborate rationales about the future that carefully avoid one touchy aspect of this oversupply problem. We don't even like to use the word that identifies this issue, monoculture. Over the past decades, we have evolved into an ag system that relies heavily and in some cases entirely on corn production. We don't like to rotate crops like we used to because the economics of other crops until now could not begin to compare with the profits possible with corn. Government policy encourages corn production, arguably to the detriment of other crops. But mostly we just like to grow corn. It's perceived as at least more predictable to cultivate and promises better returns. Certainly suppliers want us to grow corn as the inputs are enormous compared to soy or wheat, for example. American ag is increasingly about corn. But as the saying goes, if you live by the sword, you will perish by the sword. The lack of diversity in our crop system is something that would appall most prudent investment advisors. Putting all your financial eggs in one basket multiplies the risk. Looking at the next year or so, our inability or unwillingness to grow anything else could prove to be a devastating flaw in our business model. It is that aspect of the problem that I think terrifies us the most. I mean, what else can we do? Like cattle headed down a working chute, we realize we're unable to change direction, and we're not totally wrong. It is this feeling of powerlessness that underlies, I believe, most of the frustration and anxiety about the future. My guess is we're only a few months away from a supply management scheme popping up in the ag media and congressional research. Even staunch free market supporters will bite their tongues if some plan to pay us not to grow corn could reduce the ever-growing surpluses. While I disagree completely with such plans and think such a program unlikely unless Democrats sweep Congress and the White House, I anticipate loud cries to Washington to save us from ourselves. However, I think our corn monoculture must change to respond to market reality, and those changes must originate on our farms, not in government agencies.
Thanks, John. When we come back, we're off to Idaho to meet a dairy producer expanding his business across the Pacific. That's our Farm Journal report after the break.
U.S. Farm Report is produced and distributed by Farm Journal Broadcast. From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is U.S. Farm Report.
Welcome back to U.S. Farm Report this weekend. We have much more ahead over the next half hour. Our Farm Journal report heads to Idaho to meet a farmer whose love for math translates into more efficient milking. Andrew McCrae takes us to Louisiana to show us how one farm is helping city kids keep a rural connection. And in customer support, John Phipps talks self-sufficiency. Now for the headlines, the world's largest retailer is joining the movement to go cage-free. Walmart announcing it will sell 100% of its eggs cage-free by 2025. That announcement came this week. Both Walmart and Sam's Club will require suppliers to adhere by the standards set by United Egg Producers. Walmart says compliance checks will be done annually by a third party. Now, this is just the latest company to make the switch, saying this is based on consumer demand. McDonald's, Kroger, and Costco all recently announcing the production shift. Now, Walmart thinks cage-free eggs will move from a specialty product to the industry standard over the next decade.
Oh, man.
Large wildfires are forcing Oklahoma's governor to declare a state of emergency in 11 counties. The fire already claiming tens of thousands of acres in northwestern Oklahoma, and it's not over yet. Oklahoma Forestry Services say the fire has burned more than 50,000 acres so far. Strong winds and dry grass are the perfect combination for the wildfires. The Senate passed a bill this week to help protect the nation's trade secrets. With an overwhelming vote of 87-0, the Defend Trade Secrets Act will give those trade secrets the same protection as other forms of intellectual property, such as patents, trademarks, and copyrights. The House is taking up a similar measure. The act would help protect seed technologies because the Senate Judiciary Committee says theft of trade secrets cost the U.S. economy at least $300 billion each year. EPA says it will grant Bayer's request for a hearing over its belt pesticide. The hearing will happen the second week of May. This stems from EPA asking Bayer to voluntarily remove flubendiamide product from the market, and Bayer refusing to do so. EPA cites environmental issues as the reason it's asking Bayer to remove the product, but the company says those issues are debatable. That's it for the news. Meteorologist Mike Hoffman looks at our long-range forecast, which is go time for planting for many viewers. Mike, so how's it shaping up?
Thanks, Tyne. No doubt about it. We're going to be warming up across most of the Corn Belt, especially compared to what we've seen. Now, we do have one more shot of cold air for the northern portions of the Corn Belt. As you can see on the jet stream as we go through the middle of the week, that trough is into the Great Lakes in the northeast by Wednesday. Ridge building into the Rockies with a cutoff low off the west coast. Now, that's some good news for more rain, looks like, for the western portions of the country. As we head through the rest of the week, then that ridge expands eastward, big time warm up for the plains, and that warmer air is going to try to come eastward as well. But this cutoff might be an issue as we head through the eastern parts of the country. You can see that kind of cuts off next weekend, but still warmth through most of the Corn Belt. All right, 30-day outlook for temperatures above normal from southwestern Indiana all the way to the west coast, below normal for the southeast and the eastern seaboard. Precipitation over the next 30 days above normal for the east coast, most of the south central plain states back into the southwest, below normal northern Great Lakes and the northwest. Tyne?
Thanks, Mike. Building on its commitment to the livestock and dairy industries, Farm Journal launched a new dairy magazine this month. Farm Journal's Milk magazine will target the upper end of the production scale as the industry continues its shift toward larger and more integrated operations. Today, roughly 3,300 dairies produce nearly 2/3 of the country's milk. One of those dairies is the Whitesides Dairy based in southern Idaho. And this weekend, Clinton Griffiths takes us out west as this family farm is April's milk cover story.
With every dump, every gallon, and every cow comes information, data that's helping drive efficiency at the Whitesides Dairy in Rupert, Idaho.
We can run about 900 cows an hour through between all three facilities.
Speed and efficiency. It's a prerequisite in today's marketplace. And the Whitesides Dairy manages some 8,000 cows across 2 states, farms roughly 8,000 acres, and also run a 5,000 head heifer lot.
In order to stay in the business, I've got to be as efficient as I can. I mean, economy of scales has kind of pushed us that direction.
Today, the operation is a far cry from where Steve started back in 1978.
I got married when I was young, and I turned around and looked, I had a family to support, and so my brother-in-law's father was looking for an employee to help him on the farm, and so it was either that or go work for the sugar factory.
He chose the dairy farm, and it wasn't long before he figured out the math.
So I went to the bank first, and the bank told me that they wouldn't loan the money. They were very polite about it.
Instead, his dad loaned him $10,000 to buy 10 cows, which he leased back to his employer in exchange for the offspring. Within a year's time, he had built his herd up to 30 head and was milking them at his father's farm, kicking off 3 decades of steady growth.
For my first original job, I remember going out and getting the cows in the freestall, and it was a cold December day, and the cow got up and he coughed and just splattered me all over, and I thought, why am I doing this?
The answer is now a partner, his family.
I talked to Dad and I just said, I really want to do finance, and if there's a position at the dairy where I could do that, then that would be great.
Derek is now partners with his father and brings his own set of skills.
Dad was always quizzing us, like on road trips. He'd always say, if you had 10 cows and they were producing X milk, how much milk would you have, you know, just as little kids, and we would try to figure these things out.
And so if there was a downside to the growth side of it, my kids know how to run a spreadsheet probably better than they know how to physically milk a cow.
Today, those spreadsheets are full of actionable information.
One of my favorite numbers is feed efficiency. And I like to key in on that because the more a cow eats, she should produce more.
Each cow is given an RFID tag and number, helping the team monitor and manage the herd with the help of smart technology.
When the milkers are in the parlor running cows through, they're not having to sort cows out manually and shutting down the parlor, breaking up a routine, because all they do is touch in a code, and then when that cow goes out that sort area, the sort area will pick it out.
And the vet team then follows up. All of these data points and efficiencies help keep cows healthy and milk quality high. The dairy's newest venture is south and west, all the way to Hawaii, where the family is in the process of ramping up this facility on the Big Island.
We're about, I think, 1,500 head in Hawaii right now. We're permitted for 2,000. We'll be there shortly.
The state is leasing the farm, 2,300 acres, to help produce feed. And while the Whitesides aren't on site every day,
from 2,500 miles away,
cameras stream straight to a smartphone, make keeping tabs on production possible.
Not that I can do a lot about it, from here, but I can at least see there's the routine. I can see the feed, through the freestalls here. There's a camera, and you can see how things are delivered.
On a business that started as an idea and now is an industry leader in what's possible if hard work, good employees, and smart data management join forces with comfortable cows.
For the U.S. Farm Report, I'm Clinton Griffiths reporting.
Thanks, Clinton. The Whitesides say current dairy markets are making margins tougher to manage. The operation is a strong believer in using futures contracts to help hedge prices and reduce risk. Well, up next, a man all about taking risks, John Phipps.
Should America become more self-sufficient?
Get the roots your crops need by getting Radiate first. Visit lovelandproducts.com/radiate. See your CPS dealer today.
Hi, Tom Parent here for DR Power Equipment. Is your driveway a bumpy road full of potholes, washboard, and ruts? Well, for lots of folks that live in the country, this is a normal ride. But it doesn't have to be this way. Not when you own a DR Power Grader, now available at a new low price. Tow the Power Grader behind your riding mower, utility tractor, or ATV. With each pass, the Power Grader loosens, redistributes, and levels surface materials. Potholes and ruts are filled in, washboard is smoothed out, and your resurfaced driveway is ready to roll.
Call 1-800-421-7470 for your free buyer's guide and DVD. You'll learn how you can own a DR Power Grader for as little as $799.99. Free shipping is now in effect, and with our 6-month at-home trial, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Call 1-800-421-7470. Online at drpowergrader.com.
Do you worry about your mom or dad living alone? I know I did. Hi, I'm Joan London, and there's a free service you need to know about. It's called A Place for Mom. They're the nation's largest senior living referral service, and they can help you find the right senior care fast.
Mom and Dad, we found this place. It's great. You can afford it. You're going to love it. Let's go look at it.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. Believe me, I know, I've been there. Finding senior care for a parent can be difficult, but now there's a place for answers. a place for mom.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-243-0190. 800-243-0190. Call 800-243-0190 today.
Your call is very important to us. Please hold.
This week, John tackles a thought-provoking viewer question about how much we depend on trade. John?
Robert Blaine in Cedar Falls, Iowa, thinks we should rethink how much we depend on global trade. Self-sufficiency means a country is neither beholden, indebted to outside entities, nor addicted to outside resources or products. Plus, it implies that we can discipline ourselves to limit our consumption to what we produce internally. Robert, thanks for your thoughts. The urge to sort of retreat to Fortress America has gotten a new life recently as ordinary citizens and economists are taking another look at the results of globalization and international trade. I'll talk about some mildly surprising new economic studies regarding trade in the near future. Framing trade with other nations as being beholden adds an unfortunate moral overtone to exchanging goods. It also echoes the traditional antipathy toward borrowing as in the oft-quoted line from Hamlet, neither a borrower nor a lender be. But trade between countries or lending between individuals should not be seen as an addiction or dependence. Are countries like China beholden to us when they buy our soybeans or corn? If there is a sense of dependence, it looks to me like us farmers counting on Chinese buyers. For that matter, the U.S. is a $1.5 trillion exporter of machinery, airplanes, pharmaceuticals, and even over $100 billion worth of oil. I have never seen any reference as to how those overseas customers are beholden to us. More concerning to me is how little this idea takes into account all the things we don't have and can't make here in the U.S., no matter how hard we try. Just in the food category, a self-sufficient American can say goodbye to bananas, pepper, cinnamon, and brace yourself, coffee and chocolate. Talk about self-discipline. I know I don't want to be the one making that public service announcement. Seriously, there have been no truly self-sufficient cultures or countries since the Middle Ages at least. The only modern example that comes close is North Korea, not my idea of a successful or happy nation. Striving toward economic isolation is not just illogical, it implies a dangerously mistaken view of how the world really works and an exaggerated sense of our self-importance.
Thanks so much, John. Well, up next, Angie McCrae takes us to Louisiana to show us how one farm is taking advantage of its geography to help city youth not lose touch of what it takes to grow the food they need.
U.S. Farm Report is brought to you by the BV Series Round Baler from Kubota. For Earth, for life.
We're all aware of catastrophic storms that can knock out power to millions. Powerful storms and high winds that bring down power lines. Even rolling blackouts caused by our nation's faltering electrical grid. So how can you protect your home and family from all these uncertainties? The answer is a home standby generator from Generac. It stands guard, ready to automatically supply power to your home within seconds of a power outage. For a free buyer's guide and DVD all about Generac home backup power, call 1-800-731-0399. You'll learn all about automatic home generators starting at just $18.99. Online at freegeneratorguide.com.
It's one of the best investments I've ever made in this house.
It gives you security, it's reliable.
That gives you that feeling of security that, to me, is priceless.
Call now for a limited time bonus offer worth $495. That's 1-800-731-0399.
Once you cut a tree down, what do you do about the stump? Grind it down with a DR Stump Grinder, the fast, easy, and affordable solution for stump removal. Thanks to the power of a world-class engine and carbide-tipped cutting teeth, the DR Stump Grinder tackles any size stump. With each pass, these teeth quickly shave the stump down, taking a remarkable 360 bites per second. In no time, the stump is completely gone. All that's left behind is a pile of wood chips. Get behind the power of a DR Stump Grinder to rid your property of tree stumps forever.
Call 1-800-807-3105 for your free buyer's guide and DVD. Learn how you can try a DR stump grinder for 6 months. With our special financing plan, you can own a DR by making low monthly payments. Plus, get free shipping if you call now. 1-800-807-3105. Online at drstumpgrinder.com.
Tucked away outside the vibrant city of New Orleans sits a large farm, not only large in size, but even bigger in reach. This weekend, Andrew McCray takes us down south to show us why even though city kids may not see a farm every day, thanks to this piece of property, they won't lose touch with agriculture.
Here on the banks of the Mississippi River, just east of New Orleans, you'll find a farm that was once a part of a great estate that grew indigo and stretched as far as the eye could see.
Originally, this was part of the Story Plantation, which was a large plantation, encompassed thousands and thousands of acres. And then back in the 1920s, that was parceled into tracts of land of roughly 700-800 acres that were sold off.
In 1925, Dr. Lewis Moreau purchased some of that plantation, naming it Dockville Farms. Moreau was not only a doctor, but the local sheriff, and his father-in-law was a prominent banker. Dockville grew citrus, vegetables, and even thoroughbred racehorses for a time. Over the decades, the family amassed land and wealth that occupies the lowlands east of New Orleans.
We actually have an eroding asset. A lot of our land holdings is marshland that we currently have roughly 27,000 acres of marshland, but today, that might have been yesterday, today it might only be 25,000 acres of marshland. Inside the protection, we probably have about 8,000 acres.
Mrs. Arlene Moreau inherited the land and had a love for telling the story of agriculture. She helped set up a family foundation that carries forward that mission today.
In 2009, we carried out her dream a little bit further, and we took 132 acres of Dockville and designated it for community and educational purposes. And it'll never be developed. It's always going to be rural. It's always going to have livestock. It's always going to have horses.
And that mission has grown yet again, now providing an annual event here on the banks of the Mississippi River at Dockville Farms.
One of our premier events we do here is we host, in conjunction with LSU Ag Center, Ag Magic on the River, where we have a 3-day scheduled field trips where we bring through about 3,000 school kids, and then we leave it open on the Saturday of that same week to the public so the kids can bring back their parents and grandparents that weren't able to come with them on the field trip.
But Mrs. Moreau had one other wish. She lamented the fact that area residents could not see the mighty river that was next to them, a river of vital importance to agriculture.
Where we're standing right now is part of the Arlene Miro River Observation Center. It came to be from my aunt's vision of wanting to have a gazebo overlook, because when kids would come to Dockville, there's such a strong disconnect between the river and the people because of the levee. When you're driving around our parish, you cannot see the river unless you're on a bridge.
That observation point is 5 stories in the air, part of the foundation's offices and exhibition space. Truly a magnificent vantage point to watch barge traffic and see the land stretching from the levees to the ocean.
The history of Dockville Farms goes so far back, they regularly find cannonballs here from the Battle of New Orleans back in 1815. Yet it's a place not stuck in the past. It does the very important job of teaching both children and adults about agriculture today. Traveling the countryside in St. Bernard Parish, Louisiana, I'm Andrew McCray.
Thanks, Andrew. You can watch more of Andrew by visiting AmericanCountryside.com. When we come back, Tractor Tales and our Country Church Salute.
Are you paying too much for your cable or satellite TV? The U.S. government passed a bill mandating free over-the-air digital transmission of all broadcast network television channels. That means with the new TV Freeway digital antenna, you can get free HD programming from your favorite broadcast networks 24/7 without a bill. You just plug it into the back of your TV and start watching all of your favorite broadcast programs for free. There are no contracts to sign, no hidden fees, and no monthly fees. Just free HD broadcast TV. Take it with you anywhere. Call or go online now to get your TV Freeway stick for the incredibly low price of only $14.99. But wait, call or click now and you can get a second TV Freeway stick for a second TV. Just pay a separate fee, but you have to order right now.
Call 1-800-316-1198 to get your TV Freeway. Call now or go to tvfreeway.com. So call 1-800-316-1198. Call now.
Attention, catheter patients on Medicare. I'm a professional cowboy, and I use catheters. Been cowboying for 25 years. I've broken 14 bones, had 2 concussions, and a punctured lung. I know pain, and I don't want any more of it, especially when I cath. Now, I use these new nearly painless catheters from Medical Direct Club. They hurt less. Compared to the old ones, these ain't nothing. Here's how it works. You call and you get a free catheter sample. I was just like you, wondering if I should call. Boy, I'm glad I did. Give yourself a break from pain and try these new catheters. You won't know unless you try them. Give them a call now. You have nothing to worry about. They bill Medicare and your insurance company. You pay nothing up front. You get your free nearly painless catheter sample sent right to your home.
Call 1-800-280-5648. That's 1-800-280-5648. Call now.
Welcome back to Tractor Tales. We've got an MV from Farmall this week. This high crop tractor spent most of its working days in the sugarcane fields of southeastern Louisiana. Today it gets to be the center of attention at tractor shows and parades.
Have a 1945 MV. It's the same basic tractor as the Farmall M, except it's the vegetable model. That's what the V stands for in the high crop version. A giveaway for that is the metal shift knob. During the war times, there was a shortage of rubber, and they put metal shift knobs on them in that era. This old tractor basically came out of a salvage yard. The motor, transmission, got sheet metal off of a regular M and put on it. Of course, new tires, and it turned out pretty good. It's all original, all the casting numbers on the block, the transmission, rear end, and everything matched. So it's not a pieced together tractor, it's all an original tractor. We have a lot of fun with them going around to different shows and riding in parades and things like that. Yes, so if you've never been on a high crop, it's a little different. You can see what's going on. But the reason for the sugarcane is kind of like corn. You know, it's a crop that grows tall, and they had the extra ground clearance because I know in South Louisiana the ground's kind of more moist, wetter than normal, and they raise sugarcane on a big raised bed. So that's the reasoning for the high clearance on the tractor to get over the crop without damaging it. This one's been redone probably 14, 15 years, and it's time for a freshening up, new coat of paint, new decals, and a few things like that. But other than that, it's ready to go. We've ridden it on a few tractor rides, and it served real good.
Thanks, buddy. This weekend's Country Church Salute goes to the Camp Creek Church located in Cummings, Kansas, celebrating their 150th anniversary this weekend. Established in 1866, early German settlers started the church, and an interesting fact, the church is named after the creek where the settlers would camp and hold week-long religious gatherings. Congratulations to the church on 150 years, and our thanks to Megan Botenhausen for sharing their story. And as always, we want to learn about your home church as well. Salutes can be sent to the address on the screen. Stay with us. U.S. Crop Watch is next.
Which genetics work best in your conditions? How do you optimize nutrition levels? Can you get more from your crop protection? How does data improve each of your acres? With every question, there is an opportunity for growth. Because the right answers can help bring it all together.
Thanks for coming today. How you doing? Well, today's going to be pretty easy. I want each of you to grab a 2x8 and cut it. You'll have 2 saws to choose from, a power saw or a hand saw. So which saw did you use? Power saw. Power saw. Power saw. You all chose the most powerful tool. Wouldn't it make sense to make the same choice when it comes to your truck? Absolutely. This is the 2016 Chevy Silverado. It offers the most powerful engine in its class.
Awesome. I'd say it's the best tool for the job. Right on.
I owe
the IRS $10,000.
I owed the IRS $20,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
We saved our home and overcame the most powerful collection agency in the world.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-747-2351, 800-747-2351.
Welcome back. Well, it's snowing.
I know.
Out of our studio window here in South Bend.
Yes,
but
it is.
It's not snowing everywhere because in Missouri, it was 80 degrees last weekend, and farmers near Kansas City had the bug to plant. Josh Steffens is in my hometown of Lexington and sent me this picture. He said even though they've had some cooler days, Mike, the ground is just too good not to work and plant. He told me they're already 85% planted on corn at this time.
Goodness,
in
I
a
haven't
week,
seen
they got that
anybody
done.
out.
Crazy.
I haven't seen anybody around here. And in Iowa, despite rainy days, this calf was able to find some warmth. Julie told us it's been cold, gray, and rainy, kind of like here, but when they're cleaning and bedding cows and calves, the girl found her spot right away. Nice and cozy, tucked away.
Yeah, you can just see her head. Well, Mike, we mentioned the wildfires earlier in the show, but Melanie was too close for comfort in northeast Kansas. Another fire caught wind there, spreading across the rural area, forcing evacuations. Now, she captured this picture and told us that 14 different fire departments from surrounding areas helped put out the blaze. But look at it raging over the hill there. Unbelievable.
That's awful.
She said thousands of acres weren't spared. Such a sad and scary situation.
It really is, and unfortunately, they've just been getting missed by the rain around there. And it's been a while since we've heard from our junior field reporter, Emma Porter in Michigan, but she has an update for us this week.
Hi, Tyne. Hi, Mike. I just wanted to give you a little update today. It's 50 degrees outside, and they're chisel plowing out in my back fields, and I think it's really cool. And so I just wanted to give you a little update today. And this is in Coldwater, Michigan. So see you later, folks.
Thanks, Emma. That was great.
Yeah, and you can send us your videos or your pictures. You can do that by email or Facebook or Twitter. For all of us at U.S. Farm Report, I'm Tyne Morgan. Thank you for watching. Be sure to join us again right here next week as we work to build on our tradition. Have a great weekend.
High-strength steel for high-strength dependability. Chevy Silverado, the official news-gathering vehicle of U.S. Farm Report. U.S. Farm Report is produced and distributed by Farm Journal Broadcast.